This is different, isn't it? I'm Joseph. This is Input English. You can see I'm driving. I'm on the trip. It's just a couple of minutes before 9 o'clock in the morning. I left the house just after 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, we have our expectations and then we have reality. And that showed up today, as usual. I planned on leaving the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. Get a nice early start. It'll be dark. There'll be very little traffic on the road. It'll be lovely. But it took a little bit longer to get out of the house and not forget a bunch of stuff. So I had a good checklist and I checked everything off, and I'm confident that I brought everything I needed. Well, certainly everything on the checklist. So I left at 4:19 in the morning. So I've been on the road for more than 4 hours. I'm in Tehachapi, California. And this is the gateway to the Mojave Desert. So I'm up in the mountains above 4,000 feet. I'm going over 70 miles an hour on a nice freeway. There are a lot of trucks on this route, but they are doing a good job. They're not blocking the road. It's a very pleasant drive so far. It was rainy all morning, and when I get on the other side of this mountain range, it will likely be very sunny. This is a travel day. This is not a day of great exploration. It's really dedicated for getting from point A to point B, and to do so safely, efficiently. This is a place that we have stopped many times on our way out of town. We have taken a lot of trailer trips, and departing with a trailer, in my experience, takes more time. There's more fiddle factor. There's more details to be taken care of. And so leaving super early in the morning is not typical of our trailer trips. So this location is 250 miles from home. So in the past, it has been our practice to not worry about getting an early start the first day, just get a good start, and then only go 250 miles and stay here in a campground in Tehachapi. It's clean, it's nice, it's easy, and then taking off the next day from here is usually pretty easy because you've got everything in the trailer, it's already packed, there's not much to it. So that's something we have done in the past. This trip, I'm doing it differently because I'm not bringing the trailer. So an early start seemed like a great idea. Now, one of the things you probably can tell is I'm alone on this trip. This is not a couple's trip. This is a solo trip. My wife couldn't make it on this trip, and so I had a choice. I could not go or go. The decision was made that I should go. The fact that I'm traveling by myself changes the flavor of the trip somewhat. It doesn't spoil it, it just changes it. First of all, I prefer to share a trip with my wife. Traveling with someone is usually more enjoyable than just going by oneself. Not always. Traveling solo changes my behavior for sure. When I'm traveling with my wife, I usually stay in nicer hotels. I usually go to nicer restaurants. When I'm traveling solo, I get fairly frugal and expedient. Great words, frugal. I'm trying to save money. So I'm not going to go for a fancy hotel. I'm going to go for an economy hotel. And restaurants, if I'm going by myself, I may not even go to a restaurant. I've got 2 baskets full of food, and I've already had breakfast that I packed, and ate it while driving. I'm not going to take unreasonable chances with safety, but one can safely drive if traffic conditions are not dreadful. Eating breakfast on a freeway is not difficult. My plan for today is to cross the Mojave Desert and go through Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas is a very famous place. I like Las Vegas, but not for the reasons most people like Las Vegas. A lot of people in the US like to go to Las Vegas because they like to gamble, or they like to go to shows, and gambling and shows are available. The hotels and resorts in Las Vegas can be very expensive, but they don't have to be. Las Vegas appears to get most of its revenue from gambling and entertainment. And so what I observe is that hotels in Las Vegas are actually fairly inexpensive. When I was setting up this schedule for travel, my initial plan was to actually stay in Las Vegas and take advantage of the inexpensive hotels. Las Vegas also has a nice grocery store where you can get really good fruits and vegetables, and I've stopped there many times. This time I will not. This time I'm going to skate through town without stopping. I just stopped for fuel, so I have a full tank of gas. According to the car's computer, I can drive another 420 miles before I need fuel. Now, that's not something I'm going to take literally. First of all, I don't want to trust my safety to the calculations of this car. I'm taking that as information of an advisory nature rather than information that I can definitely count on. The other thing is, traveling out here in the West, the distance between fuel stops, that is the distance between available fuel stops, can be very large. You can go for 50 miles without seeing a gas station. So I don't want to take any chances on running out of fuel and needing to call for help. The other thing about that is calling for help works great if you're in a population center, but out here, there are many places I will have no cell service at all. So because of that, and I am familiar with this route, I have planned my fuel stops. The first fuel stop was in Tehachapi. The next one will probably be in St. George's. Now, I used the word frugal, applied it to myself. I like to be frugal, and that shows up in my fuel stop planning. California applies a lot of tax to a gallon of gasoline, and so what that means is the per gallon cost of fuel in California is quite a bit higher than in other states. So if I have a choice of filling the car's fuel tank in California or filling the car's fuel tank in Nevada or Utah, I should choose one of the latter, because fueling up here in California, it's more expensive. It's not a huge deal, but if I have a chance to plan my stops, then that can go into the calculus. That can go into my strategy so that I economize, because I want to be frugal. Now we're coming into Mojave. Now this is not the Mojave Desert per se. This is Mojave, California. It's an interesting place. It's a town, and they have a huge airport, and lots of things happen here. They have a lot of aircraft in a big aircraft junkyard adjacent to the airport. there are hundreds of big aircraft, former jetliners, parked. I don't have a lot of information on what happens to those jetliners, whether they are used for parts or whether they're refurbished and used again. I have no idea, but there are a lot of former jetliners parked right next to the airport. The other thing is there is some space activity here. There are projects in the private sector related to aviation and space exploration here. The Rutan brothers had a lot of their activity out of the Mojave airport. This is a desert landscape for sure. There are hills and mountains in the distance, but here the landscape is fairly bleak. It reminds me of childhood when we were taking long car trips as a family. All we saw was barbed wire fences, telephone poles, and train tracks. This would go on for hours on end, and that's going to be a big chunk of today, traveling to St. George's, Utah. I stepped out of the car briefly. This is a rest stop. This is the Mojave Desert. North of here is Death Valley. This is Interstate 15. Other ways people refer to this road is the 15, or they may call it I-15. It's an interstate road. 4 lanes minimum with limited access. That is, in order to get on and off the road, you have to use an entrance ramp or an exit ramp. The advantage of this limited access is it gets rid of surprises. People don't just pull right in front of you if you're going very fast. Behind me, you can see just a desert scape. There are some trees out there, and those are called Joshua trees. I'm not a big expert on Joshua trees, but they're typical of this area. In fact, there's a national park south of here referred to as Joshua Tree National Park. As I turn around slowly, you can just see the desert scape. Behind me is the rest stop, all the facilities for the travelers. This is the first one I've seen that was open in a long time. They're doing a lot of maintenance on these rest stops, and so a lot of them so far have been barricaded. Now that's okay because you can always get off at a gas station and get what you need, but it's nice to have a rest stop like this that's suited for a quick stop. This one's open and it needs some maintenance. I've got another couple of hours to go before I get to the destination. I'm heading toward St. George's, Utah. The day's travel is going to be about 650 miles, and it's going to take about 10 hours in total. Now, right now, as I stand here talking to you, I'm not traveling, so this will add to my total transit time, but I'm not really worried because I'm slated to get in to St. George's about 3 in the afternoon, which will allow some time to relax, check email, answer some comments on the comment page. And then I'm planning on going for dinner at a Thai restaurant. We've eaten there before and they've got great vegetarian options. So I'm looking forward to a nice dinner at a Thai restaurant. So now it's time to hike back to the car and get down the road. We're coming into Las Vegas. We're on the freeway. This is Interstate 15, and it doesn't bypass Las Vegas. It goes pretty much right through town, but you don't have to get off onto the local streets. So I will slip through town rather easily. Traffic is not too heavy. There are a lot of lanes. There's a lot of capacity because they want to be ready for lots of visitors. I haven't been to Las Vegas since before the pandemic, and it looks like they did a lot of construction south of town. They put up more resorts, more hotels, so it looks like Las Vegas expanded to the south quite a bit over the past half decade. Indeed, it's a very popular place to visit, but since I don't gamble, I don't drink alcohol, and I don't usually go to shows, that pretty much leaves me out. Well, I drove 660 miles today. It took a little over 10 hours, including a couple of stops. It was easy. It was mostly freeway, and it was pretty quick. I've arrived in St. George, Utah, and you can see from the scenery behind me that this is a very different picture than what you've seen in the Northern California area. So this is a taste of what you'll see tomorrow. This red sandstone is everywhere, very characteristic of this area. And so we're gonna do some hiking and exploring in this desert habitat with red sandstone. I came to St. George because it's a logical destination. 660 miles is enough to drive in one day, but it gets me very close to my real destination, which is Escalante. A little over 2 hours tomorrow morning and I'll be in Escalante. The Bureau of Land Management Visitor Center opens, I think, at 9 o'clock, and I'd like to go there and then get a briefing on local conditions in preparation for some hikes. I'm planning 2 nights in Escalante, which is 1 full day of exploration. Indeed, it is great to be here. I'm done with that travel day, so days going forward will be exploration. I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.